was only two banks in Pakistan when the Pakistan was coming to place. On 14 August 1947, Australian Banks Limited and Habib Bank Limited. There are only two banks after the partition of Pakistan and India. And for both the newly established countries, the Reserve Bank of India was performing the function of as a central bank. But there was some problem as the Reserve Bank of India was not performing function fairly with the Pakistan. So Pakistan government founded the State Bank of Pakistan in 1948 and subsequently the National Bank of Pakistan in 1949. Thereafter nationalization stage was come, the second phase began in 1974. The government decided to nationalize the banking sector by merging all the banks and establish 5 banks. And thereafter post-nationalization was come. The last phase, which is titled post-nationalization, began in 1990 when the government of Pakistan privatized the banks and denationalized 2 financial institutions of making amendments in National Act of 1974. Which laws are prevailing in the banking sectors? There are 4 laws. First, the Financial Institution Ordinance has come promulgated in 2001, and in this Financial Institution Ordinance, along with this, the Bankers Book of Evidence Act 1891 and the State Bank of Pakistan Prudential Regulations and the Contract Act 1872 and the Constitution of Pakistan Islamic Republic of Pakistan. According to the Section 5 of the Financial Institution Ordinance of 2001, the banking codes has been established in the Pakistan. In Karachi, there are 7 banking codes, out of which only 5 banking codes are operational. 2 are unfunctional. Is to provide a speedy summary procedure for the recovery of loan, advance, credits, and finance extended by the financial institution operating in Pakistan to their borrowers and customers. Under summary procedure, the defendant cannot appear and defend the suit as a matter of right, but only after he has obtained leave to defend on showing that there is a tribal cause. Before promulgation of Financial Institution Recovery Act of 1997, one is customer instead of borrower, and the loan amount has converted into financial amount. These are the two basic differences to promulgate the Financial Institution of Ordinance 2001. In the under section 7 of the Financial Institution Ordinance, it has been designated that the judges of the banking courts are also empowered to use these civil procedure codes, all the sections which are not available in the Financial Institution Ordinance 2001, and simultaneously the Criminal Procedure Code has also applied wherever the clauses of special law is not provided. In banking litigations, banking litigation involves legal disputes between banks and their customers, often stemming from financial transactions, loans, or other banking services. It's a complex area requiring specialized legal expertise due to constantly evolving regulation and high value of potential claims. Number 1, the common disputes. यानी कॉमन डिस्प्यूट्स क्या होते हैं इसके अंदर? लोन डिफॉल्ट, dispute arising from borrower's failure to repay loans including foreclosure and property sales. Fraud and misrepresentation, claims against bank for deceptive practice such as undisclosed fee or inaccurate financial advice. Breach of contract, dispute over the terms of banking agreements such as mortgages or loan agreements. Regulatory violations, claim against bank for failing to comply with financial regulations, including those related to asset management or investments. Credit card disputes, conflict arising from credit card charges, interest rate and other terms. International financial disputes, litigation involves banks and clients across different jurisdictions, often with complex international regulations. Statutes and regulations. Banking litigation is heavily influenced by banking regulations, including those related to loan agreements, security interest and consumer protections. Contract law, dispute frequently resolve around the interpretation and enforcement of contract terms between banks and customer. Tort claim may arise from breach of duty, negligence or misrepresentation in banking service. Jurisdictional issue, determine the appropriate court and applicable law when dispute across national borders or involve complex transactions. Who are the key players in the litigation of banking cases? Banks, obviously, financial institutions involved in providing loans, account and other services. And the customer who take the borrow amount, individual businessmen or organizations seeking legal redress for financial dispute with banks. And the lawyers. Lawyers are also play the key roles in the litigation. Legal professionals, specialization in banking and financial litigation, and regulatory agencies. Government bodies responsible for overseeing and enforcing banking regulations. What is the legal process? Legal process is, first of all, we file claim, initially legal action by filing a complaint or lawsuit, recovery suit with a relevant court. And discovery, it means the process of gathering information and documents, including deposition and document requests. Trial, presenting evidence and arguments before a judge or jury. Settlements, reaching a mutual agreeable resolution to a dispute, often before a trial. And appeal, after passing of the judgment decree, challenging court decision through higher courts. And the significance of banking litigation are protecting consumers. Litigation helps ensure fair treatment and prevent abuse by banks. Maintaining financial stability, resolving dispute, help maintain trust and confidence in the banking system. Enforcing regulations, litigation play a role in ensuring that banks adhere to regulation requirements. And providing access to justice, individual and business can seek redress for financial harm caused by banks. Now, I will tell you about recoveries and foreclosure in housing finance. Whoever who take the housing finance and become a default, thereafter the foreclosure clause is here to recover the amount against the security of mortgage finance. House finance actually is to provide fund which home buyer need to purchase their homes, and foreclosure is a legal process by way which a mortgagee, lender, mortgagee, or other lien holder obtain a termination of mortgage borrower, it means the mortgagors, equitable right of redemption either by court order or by operation of law after following a specific statutory procedure. More commonly known as judicial foreclosure, means the sale of mortgage property under the supervision of court, with the proceed going first to satisfy the mortgage, the other lien holder, and finally the mortgagor borrower, if any proceeds are left. And by way of power of sale, this can be sold without the intervention of the court. And in the strict foreclosure, it's been we have to take order from the court, and some time shall be given to the borrower that he will pay within the prescribed period. If he will not pay and fail to pay the outstanding amount, then the property will be sold through auction. In respect of the foreclosure, the relating law are transfer of property, which section is 77, and the other sections are from 67 to 77 deal with the right and liability of the mortgagee, just as section 60 to 66 have deal with the right and liability of the mortgagor. Now I would also like to inform you about the kind of mortgages. There are 5 kinds of mortgages. One is simple mortgage. It means that without delivering of possession of the mortgage property, the borrower mortgage his property with the bank. So in the event of default, they can sell out the property. The other way is mortgage by conditional sale. In this, that on default of payment of mortgage money on a certain date, sale has become absolute. The third is usufructuary mortgage. In this, the bank also take the possession of the property and also enjoy the rent and profit until the debt is paid. And the fourth is English mortgage, where the mortgagor bind himself to repay the mortgage money on a certain date and transfer the mortgage property to the mortgagee, but subject to condition that he will retransfer it to the mortgagor upon payment of the mortgage money as agreed. And thereafter the equitable mortgage. It is the most common mortgage which oftenly banks keep it by way of MOTD, Memorandum of Deposit of Title Deed. It means that the banks take the original title document in its possession against the security of the finance facility. Anonymous mortgage. Anonymous mortgage, which consists of different types of mortgages, and it's also required to register. Now, I will give the details of the common and prominent sections of the Financial Institution Ordinance which applies in the banking course. Section 9. Section 9 is the most important section in the Financial Institution Ordinance, where the customer or the financial institution commit a default in fulfillment of any obligation, the customer or the financial institution, as the case may be, institute a suit in banking courts having jurisdiction by presenting plaint which shall be verified or not. And what are the necessary documents is to be required along with the plaint? Number 1 is statement of account, which should be duly certified according to the Bankers Book of Evidence Act 1891. Because if the statement of account will not be submitted duly certified according to the Bankers Book of Evidence, then the plaint shall be rejected. It has so many references in this regard. And the document should also be aligned with that, the financial agreement along with other charge document, personal guarantee, mortgage deed along with other security documents. And the plaint must contain para with respect to the following: the amount of finance availed by the defendant. It should be mentioned in this according to section 9 subsection 3, and how much paid by the defendant, and the amount of finance and other amount payable by the defendant. These are the ingredients, main ingredients of section 9. It should be mentioned in the plaint. Now the section 2, which is leave to defend and filed by the defendant of the customer or borrower. And the defendant has to file application leave to defend within 30 days. And prior to 30 days, when the banking suit filed in the banking courts, they adopted all mode of services through publication, bailiff, register ready, all mode of services simultaneously shall be applied. And thereafter, service held good, the section 2 shall be applied, and within 30 days, the leave to defend has to be filed by the defendant. The leave to defend shall be contained in the shape of written statement and shall contain summary of substantial question of law as well as fact in respect. The amount of finance availed by the defendant should be mentioned, and the amount of finance and other amount payable by the defendants to financial institution up to the date of institution of the suit. The amount, if any, which the defendant dispute as payable to the financial institution, it should also be mentioned in this, in the shape of breakup. Of leave to defend application, it will be here by the honorable banking judges. If the leave to defend shall be dismissed, automatically the decree will be passed, directly a decree will be passed. Otherwise, if the leave to defend will be allowed, it will convert into written statement and the issues will be filed, and accordingly the evidence will be conducted, and thereafter final agreement will be had. Now the section 11 of the Financial Institution Ordinance is about interim decree. It means that when the dispute between the party does not extend to the whole of the claim, where the part of claim is either undisputed or is clearly due, and where the dispute is mainly limited to a part of the principal amount of the finance. In this sense, if the amount will not be disputed, then the interim decree will be passed. The section 12 is about set aside of the decree. When the service is not being held good on the defendant can file application under section 12 of the Financial Institution Ordinance 2001 within 21 days, and after providing the solid grounds, it can be set aside the decree. And about section 14 of the Financial Institution Ordinance, decree in suit relating to the mortgages. Section 14 says that if the property is mortgaged with the financial institutions, it can be directly, suit can be filed before the banking court for the foreclosure and redemption of the property, mortgage property. Now the section 15. Section 15 is also lengthy and is about the mortgage property can be sold out without the intervention of the courts. The procedure of the section 15 is that first the financial institution will serve a 14 days notice, and after 14 days, if the borrower or the customer is still default, then again second notice for 14 days will be served upon the defendants and the mortgagors. Thereafter, in the same way, if the borrower will not pay, then the 30 days notice will be served upon the borrower and the mortgagors. And in the event of default of the final notice, serve all the power of the mortgagor and mortgage property with regard to recovery of rent and profit shall stand transferred to the financial institution until such notice is withdrawn. And further, thereafter, the sale of property process will be started. And after 30 days, the publication shall be made in the prominent newspaper, one in English newspaper and other is Urdu newspaper. Thereafter, the sale date, auction date will be fixed, and in this auction proceeding, the bank can also take part for auction purchasing of the said property. Thereafter, if the possession is not with the financial institution, it can also be applied before the court and the possession can be taken over. And thereafter, sale deed will be executed, and sale deed shall be executed by the financial institution or the bank. He will execute the sale deed in favor of the auction purchase. And ultimately, all the claims after settlement, all inventories shall be submitted before the banking courts. Been given the privilege to the financial institution that neither the banking court nor the high court shall grant injunction restraining the sale or proposed sale of mortgage property. It is satisfied no mortgage has been created. All money secured by mortgage of mortgage property have been paid. The mortgagor or objector deposit in court cash the outstanding amount. These are the three ingredients. If it is satisfied to the court, then the stay can be done. Now, the section 16 of the Financial Institution Ordinance is about attachment before the judgment. It means that if there is a great apprehension, the borrower or the mortgagor shall transfer, alienate, parting with the possession or disposing of the property. So it can be attached by filing of the application before the banking court, and the property can be attached before judgment. Section 19 is about execution of the proceeding. After getting the decree in favor of the financial institution or financial institution or the borrower, it can be executed. And being a special law of Financial Institution 2001, it is the process that whenever the decree has been passed, it will directly trigger into execution after 30 days. There is no need to file any application or notice given to the borrower. In case of mortgage property, the financial institution may sell or cause the same to be sold with or without the intervention of the court, either by public auction or by initiation, seal, tenders, and appropriate procedure. Now, section 20 is about criminal complaint. Whenever the customer dishonestly alienate or part with the possession of the mortgage property without the permission from the bank or the financial institution, or violation of any terms and condition of the finance agreement or the other conditions and obligations, the criminal complaint can be filed against the borrower or the customer. Section 23 of the Financial Institution Ordinance is after publication of summons under subsection 5 of section 9. No customer shall, without prior written permission of the court, transfer, alienate, encumber, remove, or part with possession of any of his asset or property furnished to the financial institution as security by way of mortgage or otherwise pending final receipt. And after pronouncement of judgment and decree by the banking court, including the interim decree under section 11, no judgment debtor shall, without permission of the court, transfer, alienate, part with possession of any asset or property, and any such transfer, alienate, or encumbered in violation of this subsection shall be void and have no legal effect. Now, these are about this Financial Institution Ordinance of 2001. What are the charge documents? It is necessary to aware about this. The charge document always bank obtain from the borrower in order to secure itself. Number one is agreement for finance, wherein it is the terms and conditions mentioned therein, that how much loan is obtained by the borrower and what are the conditions, how he will pay back to the financial institution including the installments of the finance facilities. There are different finance facilities, running finance facility, cash finance, demand finance, LC limits. There are different kind of facilities are available by the borrower. And promissory note, obviously it's mentioned the demand note, and personal guarantee. Bank always take the personal guarantees of the company's directors and the partners so that they can secure themselves, and personal guarantee is like a principal borrower. Letter of installment, debit authority, whenever the debit authority is there, whenever the amount is deposited in the account of borrower, they can directly deduct the outstanding amount. Undertaking to comply with the SBI rules and regulations, letter of continuity, mortgages. What I have already told about the mortgages, 5 mortgages, and mortgage always executed in respect of immovable properties, MOTT, Memorandum of Deposit Practice. These are all charged documents obtained by the financial institution in order to secure the finance facilities. I hope everything I have make it clear before you. If you guys have any question regarding this financial institution ordinance or the banking course matter, then I am here.